evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to begin. I would ask that you please stand if you are able as we welcome the inductees, led by an honor guard, Hall of Fame member and retired Major Leanne Quinn, and Hall of Fame member and current board member, Rich Kavanagh. Thank you, Rich and Leanne, for leading the honored guests into the hall. Please remain standing for the playing of O Canada, and feel free to sing if you wish. Please remain standing. I would call on Hall of Fame member Paul Wilson to deliver a toast and words of remembrance.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Well done, Willie.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have two duties up here today. One, somewhat sad, and the other, joyful. First, if you would, remain standing while I read the names of those members of this organization who have passed away in the last year. And they do represent a very old and stalwarts of this organization. So if I may start. Roy Armstrong, Paul Clancy, Robert Curtis, Dave McConkey, Robert Rivard, Don Red Wasson, Patrick Baker, Lillian Crocker, Bob Delahaye, Glenn Paget, Sheldon Smith. Thank you very much. You may now, it's probably easier if you now be seated, because if you feel like me, you've stood long enough. I have, over my time, been to a number of dinners, functions, celebrations, but this is the first one I've been where a toast to the King is offered. When the late Queen came to the throne, I was 12, so I hadn't been to many dinners prior to that. But I do want to say that I think the new king would be very pleased indeed to know that we are toasting him initially at this inauguration and induction of the new members of the Peterborough Sports Hall of Fame. He, I know, because I was on the phone to him yesterday, is very supportive of athletics. And so, what I would ask you to do is just wish the new king the very best. And if you would, raise your glass and honor and toast King Charles III. And I hope we have many more toasts to King Charles III, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 43rd Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Linda Dejoux, and it is my pleasure to welcome the 2023 Hall of Fame inductees, their family, friends, and invited guests to tonight's ceremony. Before we begin, we would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe people. There are a couple of housekeeping items. Washrooms are behind you, just down the East Hall. If at any point you would like to take pictures, please feel free to come forward to do so, but keep in mind Dan Malta from Your TV is recording this evening's ceremony. The ceremony will be available on our YouTube channel, and there will be pictures and bios of the inductees available on our website as well. I would like to now call on Pat Bronson, 1993 Hall of Fame inductee and chair of the Hall of Fame, to bring greetings on behalf of the Board of Directors.
On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame, I would like to welcome you here tonight. Last year, we made the decision to move the induction ceremony here to the Peterborough Memorial Centre and the Hall of Fame. I honestly cannot think of a better place to hold this event. This building, the Peterborough Memorial Centre, built to honor our veterans, is the centerpiece of sporting life in Peterborough, and the Hall of Fame is the caretaker of our rich sport history. A beautiful way to showcase both. We hope that this will be a special evening for all those who are being honored here tonight. What you have accomplished and the legacy you have left during your sporting life will forever be enshrined in our history. We at the Hall of Fame have had a very busy year, starting with the amazing 4-peat Man Cup win for the Peterborough Lakers, drawing large crowds, and a remarkable Pete season, again drawing large crowds, 4 rounds of playoffs, an OHL championship, and earning the pizza trip to Kamloops for the Memorial Cup. How fortunate for any one city to be host to such exciting championship events. We certainly appreciate the exposure these events give to the Hall of Fame. We just had a successful Jack Gibson Hall of Fame golf tournament on Thursday, June the 1st. Many thanks to Doug Gibson and his committee. This is an important fundraising event for the Hall of Fame. In another month or so, we will be awarding $2,000 bursaries to 4 area graduating high school students who will be going on to post-secondary education in the fall. Throughout our long history, sports has played a prominent role in the life of this city and county. We have celebrated the sporting excellence of this community across a very diverse spectrum of sports, and tonight is no different. Tonight we are celebrating and recognizing the achievements of another accomplished group of individuals. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I offer our congratulations to the class of 2023.
Thanks, Pat. The Sports Hall of Fame has more than 330 inductees. Most are inducted in one of two categories, athlete or builder, and we currently have 8 individuals who are inducted as honorary members. Would inductees who are present tonight please stand and be recognized? In order to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, an individual must be nominated. All applications are received and then judged by the induction committee made up of community members. The committee then presents their slate of nominees to the board of directors who approve the selection. We have 7 new inductees to introduce to you tonight. I will announce each individual in alphabetical order. Inductees, if you would come to the front and stand with Pat as I speak about your accomplishments. After receiving your Norman Knott Thunderbird print from Pat, you are welcome to come to the podium to say a few words. Without any further delay, we'll get started with our first inductee, Mr. Ed Arnold. Ed is being inducted as a builder in the media category. Ed Arnold is best known as a journalist for the Peterborough Examiner. The former managing editor of the newspaper, he was instrumental in insisting on it focusing on local youth and adult sports coverage. He spearheaded drives to build the children's Fisher Baseball Park, as well as the Chase-On Children's Pond in downtown Peterborough. He founded the Kids in Need charity, as well as quarterbacked the local Gainey Foundation concerts with proceeds helping Canadian youth, and was an original member of the Peterborough Pro Hockey Alumni, raising funds and awareness for the youth in our community. Ed helped organize slow pitch charity games for local groups as well, as the annual fundraising Chris Fee Cup, the Battle of the Best hockey games for minor hockey. In 1996, he helped a grassroots effort to get the Memorial Cup games in Peterborough. He was later instrumental in trying to get Peterborough named the CBC's Hockeyville and locate the Hockey Hall of Fame in the city. Ed has written 6 books, including A Local History of Golf, co-written with Roger Self, as well as the national best-selling book, Whose Puck Is It Anyway?, to try and change youth hockey in Canada. In 2022, Peterborough celebrated 150 years of lacrosse. Ed wrote a book entitled Peterborough's Perfect Season, and sat on the local anniversary committee while helping to write a television documentary on the sport's rich history. He was a Peterborough Lakers board member, winning a Mann Cup, and helped coach or manage many successful youth softball, lacrosse, and hockey teams from House League to All-Star from 1980 to 2001. Ed Arnold has written millions of words about Peterborough and district sports and athletes in a journalism career spanning 50 years. Ladies and gentlemen, our first inductee tonight, we welcome to the hall, Ed Arnold.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you. I don't know who they paid to write that one. I'm honored to be inducted with these amazing people and joining the more than 300 already in the hall. I can't help but think about Jack Carpenter, Bob Delpolero, Molly Cartmel, Bob Allen, Paul Epping, Jerry O'Connor, who helped create this hall, and those who continue building it, such as Jack Gibson, Red Watson, and Ken Rattan. I thank Pat Bronson and the hall volunteers, as well as my nominator and those who approved allowing me in here tonight. When a builder or media person gets inducted, it isn't he or she that has the victories, but all of the people who help build the body of work. It's not a me thing, but an us thing. Nothing gets done without the people around us, especially family. And I thank Lorna, Kim, Scott, Frank, Matt, and Luke for being here. For me, sports was a diversion outside the wicked world of the news. But how did we get here? When I was a little boy growing up in Peterborough, there was a young man by the name of Larry Wood, who, even though he didn't have any children, coached our fastball team. Not only coached it, but along with his girlfriend, he'd jam us, a bunch of us, into his little car and take us to our games. I never forgot him because he cared about children, sport, and the community. Others would instill in me the importance of being children, helping children and community, but he was the first person who watered the tree roots in that direction. Now here we are smiling and thinking of all the caring sports people who got involved in our building, coaching, writing, and fundraising. A piece of them joins me tonight, all of us branches of that tree. They know who they are. To name everyone would require a phone book. Remember what those were, phone books? But some need to be mentioned. Billy Mortlock and Mortlock Construction, Larry Oakley, Jim Fisher, Grant Drew, Don By, Susan Chason Morton and family. Without them and dozens of others, there would be no Fisher Park, there would be no Chason Pond. We thank the Peterborough Lakers, Smoke, Vitt, Johnny Grant, they're all here tonight, and the Peets for allowing us to be a small part of their journeys. There are so many fond memories of so many teams I had the pleasure to be a part of. So many people to thank, think, and smile about tonight. The Examiner was and is full of wonderful people. Mike Davies is here tonight, Cliff's here tonight. They do a great job. Its publishers allowed me the platform to get some things done. The community is fortunate to have so many media outlets. We shouldn't take them for granted. Some communities don't have any media. We thank all of those who helped put together the Kids in Need charity. Terry Keating's here, he was one of them. The Gainey Foundation, Bob's here, he was one of them. The Peterborough Pro Hockey Alumni, JJ's here, he was one of them. All formed to support children who couldn't help themselves, all with common themes of caring. I can't help but smile thinking of last year's Your TV lacrosse documentary with Dan Malta and Scott, they're both here tonight. And our community, thanks to Tim Berry, who's also here, celebrating the game's 150 years in our city. Books and writing have been a big part of our journey. When we think of doing books, my mind is on George Eliot. Man, that guy cared. He cared so much. But how did we get here? Again, as a little boy, I'd read these wonderful stories about athletes written by Scott Young. I never wanted to be the athlete. I wanted to be the guy writing those stories. Books bring plenty of memories. Benny and his Jets. Randy Bryant's here tonight. Roger Self's golf history. Steve Fredericks is here tonight. He's in that book. The Peets and our journey with Steve Larmer and Greg Millen as we naively tried to change youth hockey in Canada. The book did well, but making changes to kids hockey is like chasing shadows in the dark. Books don't get done without the people we write about, the archivists such as this hall that keep records, and in some cases benefactors such as Bob Russell, Bill Smith, Tim Berry, Jason Hitton. I thank everyone for their support. The face of sports is one that, win or lose, eventually brings smiles and memories. Because of the remarkable people of this hall, we can remember and smile. Thank you, Pat, and the board for inviting us into your home. It is indeed an honor, and like Larry Wood, I will never forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Our next inductee is Randy Bryan. Randy is being inducted in the athlete category for lacrosse. Randy is another in a long history of exceptional Peterborough-born athletes to find his mark in lacrosse. He played in the Peterborough minor lacrosse system, winning numerous provincial championships. In 1971, he moved up to Junior B, where he was 10th in the OLA Central Division scoring and was a call-up to the A team, playing 10 games and registering 18 points. Randy won 4 Junior A Canadian championships with Peterborough from 1972 to 1975. He was named Team Rookie of the Year in 1972. The PCOs were the 1972, 73, 74 Minto Cup champions, and they won the 1975 Minto Cup as Grey Monroe. The 1971 through to 75 teams were inducted into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 2010. The 1974 team was chosen the greatest Junior A lacrosse team of all time, going 46-0. And they have a book written in their name, Peterborough's Perfect Season. Randy was second in OLA Junior A scoring in 1975. During his junior career, he played 197 games, scoring 778 points. Randy came up through the PMHA All-Star Hockey system, winning a provincial title in 1966 with the Novice All-Stars, and again in 1971 with the Kinsman Midgets, coached by 1994 Hall of Fame inductee, the late Red Wasson. In 1967, he played at the Quebec International Pee Wee Tournament in Quebec City. He played with the Juvenile 428 Wing Flyers, the Junior B Lions, and Senior A for the Lindsay Lancers. And when Randy wasn't playing hockey or lacrosse, he found time for other sports. He was a pitcher in both the church softball and minor hardball leagues. And he quarterbacked the Kenner Rams football team in his senior high school year. In 1976, Randy moved west and played Senior A lacrosse with Coquitlam in the WLA. From 1976 through 1984, he played in 178 games, scoring 470 points. He was third in the WLA Senior A scoring in 1981 and voted to the second All-Star team. The Coquitlam Adanacs Canada West box lacrosse team won the first World Box Lacrosse Championship in 1980. That team toured Australia for 18 days, promoting box lacrosse. The Adanacs team was inducted into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 2003. Randy worked for the Vancouver Fire Department for 32 years. His team won the 1987 Canadian Firefighter Hockey Championship in Toronto. He also won a bronze medal in slow pitch at the 2009 World Police and Fire Games. Randy currently resides in Chilliwack, BC. Ladies and gentlemen, our second inductee of the evening, Randy Bryan.
My friend and old teammate Len Powers is going to read for me. Thank you.
Randy, thanks for reminding everybody he was an old teammate. Randy has asked me to say a few words on his behalf, which I'm honored to do. First, he'd like to thank the selection committee for this great honor. He'd also like to congratulate the other inductees, and I would raise a toast to all of them. It's a great honor to be inducted with over 300 other individuals that have made it into the Hall of Fame. Thanks to Brian McFadden for putting my name forward. First, I would like to acknowledge my mom and dad, who were both athletes in their own right. They instilled in me the power of sports and how sports could and would shape my life. Everything I have, I owe to lacrosse. Now, those of you that know me probably won't believe this, but this whole journey began one day after church. That is hard to believe, if you know Randy. After attending church or Sunday school at St. Andrews, my parents went back to Jack Byers' house in the South End, as he says, quoted, coffee. Us kids were told to go out and play in the backyard. Ken Byers happened to have 2 lacrosse sticks, and him and I started playing catch. Well, the Floyds live right behind the Byers, the Partridge family, as we all called them. The Byers, Floyds, and Wassons, and Ben Floyd was there visiting. He saw Ken and I playing catch, and he came out and said to me, "You should play lacrosse." The next Thursday evening, I was on the floor playing between periods at the Pepsi Pete's game at the old Civic Arena. I was hooked. Back then, you could show up at the lacrosse school at the Civic during the day, and they would give you 3 tickets to sell for $1 a piece. Tickets for the senior Pete's game. You bring the $3 back, and they would give you a stick. My first stick was a club special. One of my first memories from there was sitting on the outside steps of the Civic Arena, watching John Grant breaking a pop bottle in a bag and showing me how to shave the handle of my stick with the broken glass to make it smoother. A lesson I always passed down to newcomers. The ones that ran the lacrosse school back then that I remember were Don Barry, Bob Allen, and Jim Patterson. House league in the morning, all-star in the afternoon, and more often than not, a game in Matucci's backyard, shirts and skins. Some of the best games the public never got to see. My junior A lacrosse years were some of the best years of my life in Peterborough. I would like to thank Ted Higgins for keeping the junior team going back then. Higgy, you kept a lot of us from going down the wrong path. Our team back then had many characters, and we just seemed to gel. Possibly because the majority of us have played together our whole lives. As my friend and teammate Steve Plunkett always says to me whenever we talk, we were good. The year we went 46-0 does mean more each passing season, I have to admit. When it ended up out west in 1976 in Coquitlam, I eventually had Bob Salt as my coach and Sohan Gill as the manager. I owe a lot to them. These two gentlemen got me my job at the Vancouver Fire Department. We won the World Box Lacrosse Championship in 1980, but the Mann Cup appearances seem to elude us each year. I would like to thank my late friends, Paul Donahue and the great Jan McGee, for putting me up and putting up with me and allow me to come home and visit over the years. I think of those two every day. In closing, I hope my daughters, Allison and Melissa, are half as proud of the old man as I am of them every day. Long live the Phantom. Hey, McGee, I'm in. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. Our next inductee is Molly Cartmill. Molly is being inducted in the Builder category and Administration. A native of Dunfermline, Scotland, Molly arrived in Canada in 1969. She joined the teaching staff at Thomas A. Stewart in 1976. As a coach, her main love was field hockey. She guided the Task Griffins to 11 Kawartha Field Hockey Championships and 3 OFSA silver medals, and added a COSAS gold in soccer. Since coming to Peterborough, Molly has been a very active community volunteer. She was a founding member of the Arborough Games, has been a board member of the local YMCA and first woman president, and a 2-term board member of YMCA Canada. She is a founding member of the Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame and first female chair, a board member for Kawartha Halliburton Children's Aid Society, and a board member of the Canadian Canoe Museum. Molly has committed a great deal of her life's work to the Canadian Olympic Association, serving in various capacities. Since 1984, she has been a member of the Canadian Olympic Committee and Youth Education Advisory Board. She has attended 10 Olympic and Pan Am Games. Molly was the 1989 Canadian delegation chef de mission at the International Olympic Academy in Greece. In 1996, at the invitation of the Hellenic Olympic Committee, Molly participated in the Olympic torchlighting and relay celebrations of the modern Olympic Games centenary, held in Greece, receiving a traditional Hellenic Olympic torch. Molly is the recipient of many awards in recognition of her contribution as a volunteer and for community activism. 1988, Ontario Medal for Good Citizenship. 1994, Honorary Life Director, Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame. 1994, Canadian Olympic Award of Merit, the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Olympic movement. 1995, Examiner and Peterborough Sports Person of the Year. 1999, City of Peterborough Award of Distinction for the Olympic Youth Camp. The year 2000, the Paul Harris Fellowship Rotary Club Award. 2009, the YMCA Fellowship of Honor Award presented by Governor General Michael Jean. And she was the recipient of Awards of Merit from Carol Ann Leatherin, President of the Canadian Olympic Association. On top of her athletic achievements, Molly is an artist, a wood carver, a jazz enthusiast, a gardener, and a photographer. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the hall, Molly Cartmill.
Thank you very much. I was about to say that's enough, that's enough, that's enough. I'm certainly honored to be here this evening. And I'm also honored to have had all the opportunities that being a teacher and an educator and an athlete have given me. I'm often asked, what is your favorite Olympic Games? And the answer is you really can't choose. They're all so different. And there are wrinkles in all of them. And one of the key differences also is that athletes are also very, very different. Winter Games athletes and Summer Games athletes, there's no comparison, and it's not right or wrong. It's just they're all different, and that makes games so important and so unique and interesting to attend, and to have the opportunities that certainly I have had. A couple of funny things stick in my mind. When we were doing the lighting of the Olympic torch, we were, the international group that I was a part of, were absolutely hammered by the organizers because there's a convoy that the torch goes in, and it comes from the ancient site, the site of the original Olympic Games, and then is run to Athens and finishes in the 1896 stadium. And we were hammered to be on time. And that early that morning, when we were leaving the ancient site, the bus driver, who'd been with us for the better part of 2 weeks in the convoy, and he was a lovely, lovely man. He had brought his bus right up to the gate and the end of the driveway the night before, so he would be ready to go right on time. Well, he forgot that the clocks went forward that morning, and we were all there, and everybody was sort of hanging around, and there was no sign of the bus driver. And somebody had to go and get him out of bed. And of course, he had locked the bus up, so one of the basic rules of certainly in my case, not only Olympics, but any tournament, any bus trip with athletes, is you load your own luggage. You do not put somebody else's bags on the bus. Well, that morning, that rule went out of the window as soon as the driver arrived, and he was out of breath and he was mortified. And he opened the bus up, and everybody just started throwing luggage on the bus. And it was a bit complicated at the other end when we got to the ancient site in trying to find our own luggage. That sticks in my mind as a classic. Another funny little incident here at the second year of the induction dinners. The first year was terrific. It was, went off very smoothly. It was perfect. The second year, we were sitting, the committee was sitting right at the back, and Stan McBride, who never met a microphone he didn't like, was the MC, and he started to look around and said something about the Thunderbird, and then he was looking around and he said, "Where are they?" And everybody at our table turned around and looked at me, because one of my responsibilities was to pick up the Thunderbirds from You Frame It. And for a second, I thought my heart was going to stop. I knew I had picked them up, but they were in the trunk of my car, we were in the old Red Oak Inn, which was down 3 or 4 levels. And suddenly everybody at our table got up and just took off out the door to get down to my car. And that year, they were not handed out in proper order. We had to kind of unwrap them and do it quietly and pretend to be discreet. Meanwhile, Stan McBride was stalling at the at the microphone, as only Stan could do. I mean, it was ideal. And as I said, I'm often asked, which is your favorite Olympic Games? And it's always the most recent, because obviously it's, closer to my heart. Forget what I was going to say. But I'm also asked, what's your favorite Olympic moment? And when I was in the Olympic relay, the torch relay in 1996, and I had been invited by the International Olympic Academy, which is what this pin is, and I had been partnered with, for the convoy, I'd been partnered with a German athlete called Georg, and he was in one of the shooting categories. And as I mentioned earlier, the bus led the convoy, and people who didn't want to run the entire marathon, and I had decided as soon as I was invited that I was going to. And people who didn't want to run the entire way were just hopping off and on the bus. And Georg, my partner, we had been in touch since the time we were both identified. And all our conversations at that point were by phone. I mean, it's hard to believe there was no such thing as email. But we had been in touch, and we'd already, you get very close to other people in those kinds of circumstances. So by the time I finished, or was about to finish, my torch is here somewhere. And you'll see there's a little piece of what looks like a piece of stick inside the frame. And we were all provided with laurel branches to run with. And I had also picked up some pebbles at the start of the marathon starting line and put them in the pockets of my shorts. Well, that lasted all of about 10 minutes. But towards the end of the race, and if you watch some marathons, and particularly when people are running with a torch, and running with a torch is really awkward because it makes you balance out a wonk. But as we got towards the end of the race, and I didn't even have the strength to lift my hands, and I thought I was going to die. But people do not run across the finish line of a marathon like that. I mean, you don't even look ahead. You know, you just concentrate on where your feet are going. Anyway, as we came much closer to the finish line, and there were a lot of people there, and there were all our friends and colleagues who had got off the bus, and they were all milling around. And I was just concentrating on the finish line, and Georg had been off and on the bus, but he came out of this sort of mob of people and came right over to me and and took my hand and we crossed the finish line together. And that for me is absolutely, was then and still is now, my Olympic moment. And like all my colleagues here this evening, I thank the Sports Hall of Fame. It's hard to believe I've been involved with the Sports Hall of Fame since day one, and was at the very first meeting. And that's very close to my heart as well. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yep.
You got it.
Thank you, Molly, for those inspiring words about the Olympics that most of us only ever see on TV. Our next inductee is Steve Fredericks. Steve is being inducted as an athlete for golf. Steve Fredericks is a Peterborough-born athlete who has played many sports, but golf is the game where he achieved the most success. Steve won the Kawartha Juvenile Championship as a 13-year-old and the Peterborough and District Junior Championship in 1985. In 1983, he was a member of the Ontario Juvenile Match Play team. While attending Trent University, Steve helped form and lead the Trent University golf team from 1986 through to 1990. He has won more than 25 city, regional, and provincial championships. Steve has played on numerous Ontario Mid-Amateur and Ontario Champion of Champions tournaments from 2007 through to 2020, and the Canadian Mid-Am Championship in 2010, 2016, and 2018. He has amassed a record of 11 Kawartha Golf and Country Club men's championships, along with 2 Kawartha Invitational wins, 2 Peterborough City and District wins, 3 West Dixon Memorial, and 2 Tamarack Invitational titles. He won the 1998 Ontario Men's Better Ball Championship with fellow Kawartha Golf member Derek Small Jr., and a PGA Pro Club Championship title in 2006 with Mark Aarons. In capturing the 2010 Kawartha Championship, Steve set the record for most club titles, along with setting the Kawartha Men's Club Championship Tournament scoring record at 9 under 275. In 2014, Steve shot 62 to share the Kawartha course record with Club Pro Al Hosick. He has recorded a total of 5 hole-in-ones and 2 albatrosses. Now, for the non-golfers in the audience, an albatross is very rare. It's a 3 under par. So on a par 5, it normally takes you 5 shots to get to the hole. He did it in 2. That's an albatross. Considered one of Peterborough's best amateur golfers, Steve was the recipient of the 1983 Peterborough Civic Award, and in 2010, it was named City of Peterborough Kearns Memorial Award, which is for Senior Male Athlete of the Year. Steve has earned a place of distinction as a 2021 inductee to the Kawartha Golf and Country Club Wall of Honor. On top of all of these accolades, if my social media sources are correct, he added a 2023 Ontario Senior Men's Match Play Championship yesterday at Tangle Creek. The Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame is proud to congratulate and welcome Steve Fredericks to the Hall.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start by thanking the nomination committee and the board of directors here at the Peterborough Sports Hall of Fame. I know there are many hours put in by some very amazing volunteers here. I'm extremely honored to be recognized amongst so many great athletes and builders from this community. A thanks also goes to everyone who took the time to join the celebration tonight, family, friends, fellow members of the sport community, and fellow inductees tonight. Well, golf has been a mainstay in my life. Crazy how doing something you do for fun has got me here. Wow. I've had the privilege of growing up in Peterborough and of being a member of the Kawartha Golf Club since I was 10 years old. My dad worked for GE. GE owned the course, and I don't think if we didn't have that connection, I probably wouldn't have played golf. But lucky I did. I quickly realized that it was my happy place at Kawartha, the place where I would develop lifelong memberships and have the fortune to gain mentors that helped shape me on the golf course and off. I've always felt complete support from past and present members of the course and throughout the community. It has always been and continues to be a proud moment on the first tee when I hear the starter say, from Peterborough, Ontario, representing Kawartha Golf Club, Steve Fredericks. Growing up at Kawartha gave me the honor of watching and learning from many competitive players. And I didn't really want to name too many names, but because I'll miss some, but people such as Roger Self, Kirk Miller, Lex Meredith, Dave Greenlaw, Dan O'Donoghue, just to name a few. What a gift that was. I watched them, I learned, I pulled something from each and every one of them, and they helped me along the way. Historically, Kawartha has been a very competitive club, and I'm very happy to enjoy watching the new generation of young golfers there take on the torch. I'd be remiss not to make a special mention to Al Hosick. I don't know if, I'm sure a lot of people in here know Al or knew of Al. He's long passed. Longtime pro at Kawartha, who I worked for through my teens, all the way through university. He taught me how to compete and conduct myself on and off the golf course. Now, those who know Al, on the golf course, he had a little fire in his belly. There was one day, I was probably 12 or 13 years old on the 18th hole. Al was up in a cart watching the juniors come in. My mom's standing right beside him. I know I'm in the right bunker. I hit a terrible shot, and my club goes flying. There might have been a couple words said too. My mom was mortified. She turned to Al and said, "What is he doing?" And Al said, "Beth, not to worry. It just means he cares." I thought that was so funny. After Al left, I was able to have the fortune to make a good friend in our incredible current pro, Mark Aarons. Spent lots of time playing and going away with him. The friendships I've gained run deep and strong. The same Saturday morning group for the past 30 years. I've got Mark Atkinson, Derek Small, and Scotty Paul that support, cheer, and push me when needed. I could not ask for better friends. I am so very lucky. Obviously, being a member at 10 years old would never have been possible without my parents, who have been big supporters of Kawartha, particularly the junior program. I know my dad is very proud to say a lot of those juniors are still members today. From my time as a junior right up to playing as an adult, both my parents supported me endlessly in every way possible. Along with my sister, Sue, brother Mike, brother-in-law Mike, all their children, and more recently my parents-in-law. Thanks to all of you. I think I have the biggest gallery at some of the tournaments because I've got the biggest family. My own family, my wife Amanda, kids Sam, Jacob, Riley, Liv, and Rianne. We have built a family that always roots for and supports each other. This goes for encouraging this old guy as well. I feel the love, and I am so very blessed to have the greatest kids. Amanda, you have been an incredible support, allowing me to practice and play at will. We've had many fun times away, and hopefully it continues for a long time to come. Finally, this is why I left it to the end. Mom, I wish you were here tonight, as I know you would be beaming with pride. But I know you are watching somewhere and still telling me to stay patient, keep my head down, and make sure you keep hydrated. Mom, I promise to stay hydrated tonight as I celebrate this induction. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Our next inductee is Carrie Huffman. Carrie is being inducted in the athlete category for hockey. Carrie Huffman is a product of the Peterborough AAA minor hockey system. In his youth, he participated in the Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament and the Peterborough Liftlock Atom Tournament. Carrie was a member of the 1984-85 Peterborough Roadrunners Junior A hockey team before being drafted by the OHL Guelph Platers. He won a Memorial Cup with the Platers in 1986. Carrie was awarded the George Parsons Trophy, which goes to the player judged to be the most sportsmanlike at the Memorial Cup. He then won the Max Kaminsky Trophy for OHL Best Defenseman in 1987 and was named to the 1987 OHL All-Star team. He was also a member of Team Canada at the 87 World Junior Hockey Championships. The Philadelphia Flyers selected Carrie in the first round, 20th overall in the 1986 NHL Draft. In 1992, he played for the Canadian national team at the IIHF World Men's Hockey Championship. Carrie went on to play 401 games in the NHL over a 10-year career as a defenseman from 1987 to 1996, recording 145 points with Philadelphia, Quebec, and Ottawa. He ended his professional career in 1999 playing with the Grand Rapids Griffins of the IHL. During his career, Carrie was an NHLPA rep for the Nordiques and the Ottawa Senators. Carrie holds a Level 5 USA Hockey Coach certification. He was on the coaching staff for the U16 and U18 Wilkes Barre Knights with a record of 225 game wins, 66 losses, and 16 ties. Carrie served as an assistant coach for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms from 2016 to 2021. The Phantoms went 170, 86, and 22 in Huffman's 5 seasons with them, including an Atlantic Division title in the 2017-2018 season. Carrie created Platinum Hockey Group, a consulting company and marketing and promotion risk management firm for athletes, which included some of hockey's best players as his clients. He was an NHL PA certified player agent from 2012 to 2016. In October of 2022, the Pittsburgh Penguins named Carrie Huffman Director of Professional Scouting. Carrie oversees Pittsburgh's pro scouting staff and coordinates the team's pro scouting efforts in the NHL and the AHL. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our next inductee, Carrie Huffman.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for this great honor. Congratulations to my fellow inductees. It's so well earned, and proud to be going into the hall with all of you. I have such fond memories of this building, and being back here just brings back so many of them. I basically grew up here watching the Petes play and watching all the great lacrosse teams that have played in this building. And then, you know, I'd sit and watch the Petes and dream of one day playing either for the Petes or in this building. And I got that opportunity and played against some great Dick Todd and Jeff Toohey coach teams from the 80s. And being here today, the memories come flooding back. And when I walked in, I felt like I smelt a waft of my mother's lasagna coming up from the Scouts room. She used to cook for the Scouts during the midget tournament here for years, and such fond memories. And I know she's thinking of us here today. So Peterborough is really such a special and unique place. It's so revered, not only in Canada, but throughout North America and around the world. And just a quick story, I was recently over in Latvia and Finland for the World Championships, doing some scouting, and the one day I was walking into the Latvia-Canada game, and I saw a father and a son walking along. The father had on a Latvia jersey, and the little guy, about a 10-year-old, had on a Canada jersey. So I went up to him and looked down at the little guy. I said, do you speak English? And he looked up at me. He said, yes, a little bit. And I said, are you a Canada fan? And he said, yes. He goes, Dad, still Latvia, but me, Canada. And I said, well, I'm from Canada. I come from a place called Peterborough. And the little guy looks up at me and he goes, yeah, the Pete's. And so it's such a unique and revered town all over the world. And I'm just so proud to say that I hail from here. I was blessed to have so many great coaches and mentors along the way, being in the Peterborough Minor Hockey Association, from the late Ab Allen all the way through to coaches like Terry Bovair, who had a huge impact on me as a person and as a player. And I just want to, there's too many to name, but I just wanted to thank everybody involved in that great hockey association. My brother-in-law, Mike Posadad, was like a big brother to me when I was younger, and he played with Terry as well too. So those guys were huge influences, but there's so many people involved in that great association. Lots of friends. I just want to acknowledge real quick, Pete and Stacy Hinkle traveled up from the States with us on this trip. They're our traveling companions. Great to have them here and experience the Peterborough vibe. Will and Tara Acton, I was working with Will up till about a week ago, and they're here as well. And Bill and Lee Cridlin, longtime friends of my family, and I know Bill's here as well. I just wanted to say it's great to see those people. Scott Wasson's here as well too. He nominated me for this and was one of the pushers to get me in. Wass is a lifelong fan. I just wanted to say thank you for your support. Mike Morrissey and Jen are here as well. 2 blocks away, we spent hours watching Hockey Night in Canada in Gumper's basement, night after night after night, and just some great memories. And Mike, myself, Paul Day, Dallas Aikens, Gary Lawless, we're all on a group text, a group call. We stay in touch, and them and many others. And it's just so unique to have, after all these years, have the connections and the friendships that you have that were developed in this great town. Just some special bonds. That'll never go away. I just wanted to acknowledge the late Steve Chason as well. Steve and I played together here in Peterborough and then in Guelph. And he was a big instrumental piece to me in terms of what I accomplished. And I know he's in our hearts here as well. Most importantly, my family, Kim, my soulmate, my wife. Obviously, it's so awesome to share these adventures that we get to share together, and it just keeps going on. You've been so great to my family and helped raise three great boys, and I love you. And Dad and Mom, Kelly, your family, the support and love that you guys gave me through the good times and the challenging times. I can't say thank you enough. And lastly, one thing we always say on our little group text with all my friends from this town, we always remind each other, you never really leave Peterborough, and Peterborough never really leaves you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie. Our next inductee is Aaron Kent. Aaron is being inducted in the athlete category for synchronized skating. Born in Peterborough, Aaron started her career with the Peterborough Figure Skating Club, where she chose the team sport of synchronized skating. This is a complex, demanding, precision sport where 8 to 16 skaters perform together, flowing as a unit at high speed while performing technical elements and precision footwork. In grade 10, Aaron moved to North York and Mississauga to further develop her skills, putting her on a path to skate at the provincial, national, and world level. She joined the successful Black Ice team in 1999, who had an undefeated season, capturing gold at the national championships in 2000. Erin competed at the junior national level from 1999 to 2001. In 2001, she competed at the junior nationals and represented Canada in Neuchâtel, Switzerland, with the Gold Ice junior team. From 2001 to 2006, Erin competed at the senior national level. In that 2001-2002 season, she skated with the renowned Black Ice senior team, capturing gold at the national championships. The team placed second at an international competition in Milan, Italy in 2002, and finished third at the World Championships in Rouen, France in 2002. The following season, Erin joined Fusion senior team. This team placed second in the Canadian National Championship in 2003 and 8th in the 2003 World Championships held in Ottawa. In 2004, the team competed internationally in Prague, Czech Republic, and placed 6th in the World Championship in Zagreb, Croatia. Erin moved from skater to coaching, and from 2007 through to 2009, she was the assistant coach of the Fusion synchronized skating team, and also joined the Peterborough Figure Skating Club in 2007, coaching singles and various synchronized skating teams within the club. In 2008, she coached the Peterborough junior team, who qualified for the national championship in BC, and most recently, the Diamond Blades Adult 1 team to gold at Skate Canada March Mania in 2017. Erin is currently an Adult 1 coach with the Peterborough Figure Skating Club and the Peterborough Synchronized Skating Club. When she wasn't busy skating all over the world, Erin earned her Bachelor of Kinesiology degree from McMaster University and her Bachelor of Education from Queen's University. She is currently a physical education teacher at TAS, where she coaches basketball, volleyball, rugby, lacrosse, and track and field. Please join me in welcoming to the Hall of Fame, Erin Kent.
Sorry guys, gotta find my sweet chair. Okay, hi. First of all, I would like to congratulate all my fellow inductees on their accomplishments, and a special thanks to the Sports Hall of Fame board members for this tremendous honor. I would like to take the moment to thank Lynn Raycroft-Little for my nomination as well. Growing up in this building here and seeing the names and the pictures of the members on the walls and walking around, it's kind of surreal to be standing here and now seeing my my picture in the frame. I never quite imagined it would happen, and so it's pretty cool standing up here now. Synchronized skating is not a sport that many people know in the hockey and lacrosse town that we are in, and all my fellow nominees. So I'm just going to briefly explain. Thank you, Linda, for saying it, but I'm going to give you a little bit of background. It's a discipline of figure skating, but there are 16 of us. The time that I was competing, there was 20 of us, so even more of us on that ice surface doing the same thing all at the same time. It's a sport that combines, I like to describe it as grace and power all at the same time while doing some pretty cool moves all together. Once I found that, I was sort of late to the game of synchro, but once I found it, it was a sport that combined everything that I loved, skating, but the team aspect that I think is so cool, and so I did not look back. My greatest memories when I think back to my career have to be the 2003 Worlds that were in Canada. While it was probably the worst I had done in terms of our placement, it was without question the best feeling. We were in Ottawa, so it was a home championship, and I couldn't hear a single thing. We got to stand on the ice, and when our name was announced as Canada, the crowd was wild, and I could close my eyes and I could be there right now. And so when I think about all the amazing memories I have of traveling, that is still my most favorite one. The rest of my speech tonight, I just really want to thank so many people, because without them I would not be standing here. My coaches, though they're not here, I recognize them, and my teammates that I was lucky enough to have over the span of my career. I was surrounded by, from a very young age, gifted coaches, creative coaches who saw the diamond in the rough. I don't always come across as the very typical figure skater, but they saw me and they pushed me, and without them, I wouldn't be here. Synchronized skating is a team sport, I said, and I had the best teammates I could think of. They were surrounded by people who were supportive. We were extremely competitive, but we pushed each other each and every day, and thankfully I am still amazing good friends with all of them. I'd like to thank my friends for always being there to support and encourage me. To cheer me on from the stands, to explain, especially as my career took place from high school through university. Maybe I wasn't at all the parties, but I was doing something pretty cool, and they made sure everybody knew that. Your loyal friendship is one of my most favorite things in the world, so thank you. The next part I'm going to do my best to get through, but I want to thank my family. To my husband, Ash, thank you for supporting my passion during our time at university. It was pretty challenging, but your support was vital to my success. To my beautiful children, Nolan and Colby, though my skating career was over by the time you came around, my coaching career was in full swing, and I miss many nights away from you to be at the rink, sharing my love of this sport with others, and I just hope that you find your passion and life and follow that to the fullest as I have. From the moment I began skating, my family has been my greatest support system, and I began skating at the very young age of 2. I come from, my mother was a figure skater. My mother was a figure skating coach. She actually coached with the Peterborough Figure Skating Club for 25 years. So I actually really didn't have a choice with what I was going to do. But my parents and my siblings had to make huge sacrifices for me to be able to pursue my skating dreams to the fullest, and I'm so thankful and grateful for their love and support throughout the years. My mom and my dad moved us to Peterborough in about 1996, and I can tell you I wasn't very happy about the move at the time, but it put me on the path to success, so I am grateful for that. Mom and Dad, I don't have enough time or enough words to ever describe the gratitude I have for you both, but I hope that you know that. Everything that I am and everything that I have accomplished is because of your love and support. And lastly, if I can do it, Mom, if there is one person I could give all the credit to, that would be you. I may have been the one on the ice all these years, but without question, you were there, taking every step with me, and I would not be standing here without you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Erin. For our next presentation, I would ask board members Paul Rochetta and Pat Bronson to come forward, please.
This is an amazing community. Not only do we have amazing athletes and builders, but we're a community of volunteers like no other. And it's evident by how long this Hall of Fame has been running, 43 years. And we, as a board, made the decision a number of years ago that we were going to recognize people who made a significant contribution to the Hall of Fame. And I would like to call upon Carolyn Cameron to come forward. Carolyn, the Board of Directors of the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame is conferring on Carolyn Cameron an honorary member designation. This award is given to a member of the community who has over an extended period of time contributed significantly to the success of the Hall of Fame. Originally from Barrie, Ontario, Carolyn came to Peterborough in 1983 to teach high school. She had a long and distinguished 28-year career at PCBS. She retired in 2012 and joined the team of volunteers at the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame. Carolyn is the manager of the Hall of Fame website, a key volunteer in the organization of the annual Jack Gibson Memorial Golf Tournament, and is a valued weekly volunteer at the Hall of Fame. She also serves on the board of directors. The Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame could not operate without our volunteers. Congratulations to Carolyn Cameron, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Paul and Pat. We have welcomed 6 very deserving athletes and 1 honorary member into the Hall of Fame tonight. The city and county of Peterborough is indeed a perfect location to foster the growth and development of all athletes, whether it be on the field, in the sport organizing offices, at the media outlets, at the rink, at the golf course, or on the ice. Congratulations to all 7 of our new inductees. An evening like this requires a lot of organization, and I would like to thank the Hall of Fame volunteers for their work in preparing for tonight. To Sally Graham, 1985 Hall of Fame inductee, for her expertise in implementing tonight's event. To Scott Kennedy and his staff for the food and refreshments, which we were about to enjoy. And to the Memorial Center staff, thank you for assisting with the setup and takedown. Family, friends, and guests are invited to the Hall of Fame for refreshments and snacks. The bar will reopen. Please feel free to wander through the hall to view the many exhibits. At the far end of the hall, at the center display table, each of the inductees has a collection of their memorabilia for you to see. I would ask the audience if you would please remain standing until the chair, Pat Bronson, has led the inductees out. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening.